Mark Rogers TV running through all the college football from Saturday. 5 big bowl games. We hit this one. It is the AutoNation Cure Bowl with Central Florida finishing up at 6-6 in the American Conference against Arkansas State. Also, typically, 5 big bowl games to start us out on Saturday. For bowl season, AutoNation Cure Bowl, one of them. Central Florida at 6-6 in the American Conference. Arkansas State 7-5 overall, but they went 7-1 to tie for first place in the Sun Belt. You check out the Sun Belt records, and it's typically like that. The better teams go out and they match up against better teams in the Power 5. They lose most of those games, but then they go 6-2, 7-1 in the conference, and they have a better conference record than an overall record. So such is the plight for the Red Wolves at 7-5. Okay, Central Florida. The up and down nature of this program in recent years. George O'Leary taking this one to the Fiesta Bowl where they defeated Bryce Petty and company, Baylor, to finish 12-1. Then they sunk to 0-12. Then they hire Scott Frost and they look to be back on the upswing at 6-6. And against pretty quality opponents here. Central Florida played pretty well against Maryland. Close game there. Very close against Temple, 26-25. Houston, they led 24-3, let the Cougars off the hook, and did not complete the deal. So Central Florida's played well. Couple brothers on defense. Interesting story here. You got Shaq and Shaquille Griffin. Shaq'em is a linebacker who was the American Conference Defensive Player of the Year. As a freshman, he plays with one hand. I've yet to see him play extensively. Look forward to watching this game. I think it's going to be a pretty tight game. I'm wavering back and forth on that one. I'll get to it in just a second. So Shaq Griffin, 85 total tackles, 19 tackles for loss, and 11 sacks. And his brother, his twin brother, plays on the same defense at cornerback, and Shaquille Griffin, and he led the team with 12 pass breakups. So the recruiting in the Griffin household has meant a whole lot for Scott Frost and company this year. Offensively, freshman quarterback Mackenzie Milton took over the job from Justin Holman, just flat out played better, was more accurate. The senior versus the freshman. So surprisingly, the freshman had control of the offense and brought stability. 58% passer, 9 touchdowns, 7 picks. So they're not prolific in the passing game. They've got a freshman at running back, so the future's bright in Central Florida. Adrian Killins got off to a hot start, but he faded late if you look at the numbers against the quality teams. Juwan Hamilton, 3.7 yards per carry, 4 touchdowns. Dontravius Wilson, 3.9 and 8 touchdowns. So Central Florida definitely got to postseason play based on defense and trying to be conservative and eliminate the mistakes on offense. When you've got 2 running backs, your top 2 running backs who average less than 4 yards per carry in college football, that's concerning, especially when the quarterback only threw 9 touchdowns. So not a whole lot of offense there. If they get big plays down the field, it comes from wide receiver Traquan Smith, who caught 54 for 818 yards and 5 touchdowns. He caught 52 passes last year, so he's been a mainstay. He had huge games against the better opponents, talking about Maryland, Temple, Houston, and the finale against South Florida. Traquan Smith was big, mammoth in those games. So they're going to have to take some shots, go downfield to him because the running game is pretty lethargic. All right, Arkansas State, Javon Roland-Jones, junior defensive end, led the Sun Belt in sacks and tackles for loss, right along with his teammate Chris Odom, 17 tackles for loss, 12.5 sacks, and Kyle Wilson, 15.5 tackles for loss. So they've got 3 guys really getting into the backfield of the opponent. And this kid, Roland-Jones, needs 1 more sack to become the all-time leader at Arkansas State. Offensively, Justice Hansen has been the quarterback for several years now, and he led the Sun Belt Conference in passing efficiency. Not mind-blowing stats here on either side passing the ball. 59%, 16 touchdowns, 8 picks. He spreads it around. 6 receivers had at least 22 receptions. Warren Wand, 867 yards rushing. He was fifth in the Sun Belt Conference in rushing and 10 total touchdowns. But they've got some field goal issues for Arkansas State. They missed 5 PATs, and J.D. Houston also only 12 of 18 on field goals. Central Florida is a 6-point favorite. Some books have it at 5.5, and I'm really struggling with this because I'm pretty confident that the Knights are going to win this game, but they're so limited offensively. 9 touchdown passes and 2 running backs who gain less than 4 yards per carry, but they are stout, and they have proven against the better opponents that they can hang with the Houstons and Temples and the Marylands and the like. Arkansas State, they're used to getting to postseason play. These kids have been through a lot. They've been through a number of head coaches. They finally have stability with Blake Anderson, a friend of the show here at Mark Rogers TV. We've had him on a few times. So I like Central Florida to win this game. And I'm going to make a call that Central Florida is going to cover the 5.5 points. Despite the offensive issues, Scott Frost, with about 2 to 3 weeks to prepare, I think is going to find some room in the passing game with Traquan Smith downfield against Arkansas State. Good ball game. Central Florida covers 5.5. Let's hear from you on Mark Rogers TV.